When my 6-year-old niece called at midnight, I never expected this dark secret. It was the dead of night when the phone shattered the eerie silence. The clock on the wall glared 12:01 a.m., casting long shadows across the room. My heart raced. A calling from that little voice felt like a siren's wail, echoing through the stillness. What could possibly be wrong? I could never have guessed that the weight of her words would shatter my reality. "Uncle Jack, there's something in my closet," she whispered, her voice trembling with fear. Each word dripped with anxious energy, like the steady drip of water in an abandoned well. I could picture her tiny hands clutching at the phone, her wide eyes peering into the pitch-black dark of her room. Cold sweat trickled down my back at the thought of what might lurk within those shadowy depths. Children's imaginations can run wild, but this felt different. Felt real. "Sweetheart, it's probably just a monster under the bed." I tried to soothe, though deep down, an unshakable discomfort bloomed inside me. She never cried wolf. She wasn't like that. Remembering her last birthday party, when she brought a doll to life with her laughter, I suddenly felt out of my league. That doll, its porcelain face eerily still, leering from the corner of her room during our last visit, whispered unsettling thoughts into my mind. What if her imagination had twisted into something far more sinister? Then, a soft gasp broke through her breath hitching. "It's talking to me." The words echoed like thunder. My pulse quickened, the weight of the night plunging heavier. What could it mean? Was it just a figment of her young imagination? Or something more terrifying? I could hear the gravelly voice, full of shadows and secrets, slithering into her dreams. What could a creature in her closet want? As a protective uncle, I knew I had to do something. But what? Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Her sobs echoed in my mind, recalling how just hours earlier we had danced around the living room, enacting wild adventures. But what if this was the reality seeping through the cracks of her childish fantasy? I leaned closer to the speaker, breath held tight in my chest. "What is it saying, honey?" I urged, pushing back my rising dread. A wave of chill washed over me, invading the space around my heart. The suspense thickened, every second feeling like an hour. I can't say, Uncle," she whimpered, her voice trembling like leaves in an autumn breeze. It was almost as if something had gripped her, forcing her silent. What could be lurking behind that closet door? My mind raced through every spooky story I had ever heard. This was no simple nightmare. Suddenly, a loud thud echoed in the background. A cascade of books tumbled off her shelf, and my heart stopped. The sucking silence that followed felt like a dead weight. "Cherry," I gasped, the lump in my throat growing. My hands trembled over the phone, wrestling with the need to rush over and protect her, yet shackled by disbelief. "Uncle, I'm scared," her voice cracked, fading into a whisper. I could barely breathe. What would I say to her? The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife, spinning my mind in a dizzying cyclone of dread. What was happening? I couldn't face the abyss of uncertainty that had stretched between us. I needed to act, I had to understand. I made a decision that I hoped wouldn't plunge us further into darkness. "I'm coming over," I declared, determination cutting through my fear. But as I stood up, the power went out, plunging me into starlit shadow. "Cherry, are you there?" I called, but my voice screeched into the void. The silence that followed was deafening. What awaited me at her doorway? What was it hiding? The darkness closed in around me like a thick blanket, but it wasn't just the absence of light that made my skin crawl. It was the chilling reality of Cherry's panic echoing in my ears. The house felt alive, every creak and groan setting my nerves on edge. I fumbled my way toward the door, the cold doorknob biting into my palm as I turned it. "Cherry," I called out once more, my voice wavering as it cut through the heavy silence. I had to fight the growing dread clenching my chest. Fear's grip pulled me deeper, but I pushed through. If there was anything lurking in the shadows, I had to confront it as I stepped outside. The faint glow of distant streetlights spilled into my path, illuminating a frenzied wind that whispered sinister secrets around me. The car sat silent and still in the driveway, inviting me to hurry, to escape. But I was away from my home, my only thought honed in on my niece. With each hurried step toward her house, the memories played back in my mind, the laughter, the stories, and the way her eyes sparkled with magic. This wasn't just a child's nightmare. Something was truly wrong. Reaching her door, I noticed it slightly ajar. I pushed it open, heart racing. "Cherry, I'm here," I shouted, hoping my presence would fill the emptiness she felt. The living room lay shrouded in darkness, the air thick with something unspoken. My skin tingled with an uncomfortable awareness. I could still hear Cherry's voice, trembling and so very delicate. "Uncle, please come quick." I followed the sound, each footstep echoing like a drumbeat. The hallway lights flickered, casting haunting silhouettes along the walls. This wasn't how her home usually felt. It was as if someone else had walked through, stealing its warmth and leaving behind an unsettling chill. I entered her bedroom, where moonlight spilled through the window, illuminating the chaos. Toys strewn everywhere, and the closet stood ominously ajar. Shadows danced there, flickering as if alive. Cherry sat huddled in the corner, eyes wide, reflecting terror and confusion. "Cherry," I breathed, rushing to her side. I enveloped her small frame in a desperate embrace, feeling her little hands tremble against me. "What happened? What is in there?" Her whisper came out muffled, half sobbing. "The thing from the closet, it wants me." She pointed a shaky finger, and my heart thundered at the thought of confronting whatever was hiding behind that door. "Listen to me," I said gently, though I felt fear freezing my blood. "You're safe with me. Whatever it is, we'll face it together." I stood up slowly, pulling her behind me, the looming darkness beckoning us forward. "I'm gonna check," but before I could finish, the closet door creaked open wider, as if inviting me in. The smell of damp earth wafted into the air, an odor that wasn't right, too deep and ancient. A voice seeped out, a low growl weaving through the silence. "Come closer, Cherry needs to stay with me." My breath hitched as icy tendrils of fear snatched at my heart. The voice was warped and distorted, chilling me to my very essence. "No," I shouted, my own voice reverberating back at me, filled with defiance. But doubt nibbled at my resolve. What was happening? Suddenly, chaos erupted. Books flew off shelves, and shadows writhed, whispering secrets I wasn't meant to hear. I grabbed Cherry tightly, feeling her heart pound against my chest. In that harrowing moment, I realized this was not just a fear. This was a malevolent force, and it knew Cherry's name. As the room shuddered with an unseen rage, I turned to flee. But where could we run? What awaited us beyond? Desperation gripped me as I bolted toward the door, our only escape. But just as I pulled it open, a hand, an impossibly cold hand, slipped through the crack, stopping me in my tracks. "Stay with me," it whispered, echoing with a dreadful insistence. What would I choose? Would I surrender to the darkness that wanted to keep my niece? Would I save her, knowing the danger that lay ahead? The weight of that choice hung heavy in the air, suffocating as I stood there, frozen in torment. What lay beyond this moment could change everything. The icy grip of the hand was a physical force against my chest, threatening to pull me back into the suffocating blackness. Fear consumed me, and my instincts screamed to run, to protect Cherry at all costs. "Let go," I shouted, my voice filled with a raw desperation. I attempted to jerk away, but the grip tightened, sending a wave of cold creeping up my arm, making me feel fragile, almost transparent. My heart raced, a wild drumbeat against my ribcage, echoing the frantic powerlessness flowing through me. "Cherry, we need to go. Now." I could feel the heat of her small body pressing against my side, her breath hitching painfully. The closet's dark mouth loomed behind me, shadows swirling like tendrils, reaching for us. "Uncle," Cherry whispered, her voice trembling with fear. "It knows us. It knows my name." Then, with her tiny hands firmly clutching mine, we did what felt impulsive, yet necessary. I yanked her toward the door. If I was going to face whatever this thing was, I had to gain the upper hand. Forcing the door wide, we stumbled into the dim hallway, the shadows squirming as if alive. "Run!" I shouted, and we barely made it before the sound of scratching echoed behind us, vicious and frantic. It was a beast desperate to break free. The hallway felt endless as we dashed for the front door. I glanced back, just in time to see the closet door swinging open wider, the void inside pulsating, beckoning with a twisted allure. I wanted to scream, to call for help, but my voice seemed lost in the clamor of our pounding hearts. "Cherry, keep up," I urged, my grip firm on her hand. Each step away from that cursed space felt like a small victory, yet dread tangled in my stomach. What if it followed? What if it took her from me? We burst into the living room, flooding it with the remaining light from outside. I shielded her behind me as I scanned the room, praying we were out of reach. Just then, the wind outside howled, rattling the windows, adding to the chaos of our escape. My eyes swept over the room, searching for anything we could use, a weapon, something to defend ourselves. I spotted the fireplace poker rusted and jagged. "Stay here," I told Cherry urgently, barely giving her time to protest as I dashed toward the hearth. My heart thundered in my ears, but I couldn't let fear consume me. I had to be her shield. Grabbing the poker, I whipped around just as I heard it, a horrible sound, low and guttural, seeping from the shadows. "You can't escape," it boomed, rattling the very walls. "You're mine." Just as I turned, the lights flickered violently, plunging the room into almost complete darkness. Panic gripped me like a vice, squeezing the air from my lungs. I held the poker tightly, ready to fight, but deep down, I could feel the tremors of uncertainty gnaw at me. "Where are you?" I called out, my voice shaky. "You want her? You'll have to go through me first." With a sudden rush, the shadows coiled around me, the darkness thickening like an unearthly fog. It swirled, creeping up my legs, pulling me toward it, whispering promises that curled maliciously through my mind. "Come back." Uncle Cherry's soft voice pierced through the night, tugging at my heart. "No, not like this," I said, each word laced with defiance. "I won't let you take her." And just like that, I could feel a surge of warmth from Cherry, anchoring me against the cold. It reminded me of all that she meant to me, everything I couldn't bear to lose. Driven by instinct, I pulled back against the darkness, swinging the poker wildly, finding strength in sheer panic with each swing. The shadows hissed, and they seemed to retreat slightly, swirling away from the piercing edge of the weapon. But just as I thought we might have a chance to escape, a pale face slipped from the darkness, its features twisted into a mockery of a smile, eyes hollow. "You think you can win? I'll always be here." My heart dropped at that moment, and I froze. How could I fight something that claimed to be eternal? The weight of despair settled in, wrapping cold fingers around my throat. I turned, looking at Cherry, her innocent face pale but determined. "Uncle, it can't take me," she said, her voice a fierce whisper, and in that moment, I felt the bond between us, the raw truth that surged through our blood. But fear spiraled again, and the darkness whispered, "You're trapped forever." I grabbed Cherry's hand tighter, my breath coming fast. We have to find a way out," I stammered, hoping against hope that light still existed somewhere. Could our bond shine bright enough to cut through this terror? With the shadows closing in, I made my choice. We run. Hold on tight. And as we turned toward the front door, my heart raced, knowing the real battle was just beginning. As we barreled toward the front door, I could feel the shadows snapping at our heels, like a pack of wild animals hungry for prey. The chilling growls reverberated through the air, shaking the very fibers of my being. We had to break free. There was no other option. "Uncle," Cherry squeaked, her grip tightening around my hand. Fear danced in her wide eyes, and I fought the urge to glance back. I could almost hear it, the disembodied voice weaving its dark promises of dread. But I shoved that thought away, willing myself to focus on the sliver of light just ahead. When we reached the door, my pulse quickened. It was locked. My heart sank. No, no, no. This isn't happening. I pulled at the doorknob frantically. Help me, Cherry. But she was frozen, staring at the encroaching shadows that twisted and writhed around us. It doesn't want us to leave, she cried, her voice rising with terror. Just give me a second, I yelled, clenching my teeth as I wrestled with the stubborn lock. Each second stretched painfully, the shadows humming hungrily, brushing against my skin. I finally remembered the old key shaped like an ornate keyhole I'd seen nestled in a drawer. Can you find it? I asked, squeezing her shoulder to encourage her. The key, Cherry, is just in the other room. She hesitated for a moment, glancing behind her. What if it comes? I'm right here, I urged. I won't let it take you. With a deep breath, she nodded, mustering all her courage, then dashed back toward the living room. I focused on the door again, praying it would hold just a little longer. Just when the shadows started to creep through the edges of the room, remorseless and relentless, I heard Cherry's tiny footsteps return. I found it. Good. Hurry, I shouted, eyes wild with fear. And as I took the key, I felt like everything depended on this moment. As she passed me the key, our fingers brushed. Suddenly, the shadows lunged forward, but I was ready. I thrust the poker out, the harsh metal glinting in the faint light, and with a terrible screech, the dark mass recoiled. Unlock it! Unlock it! My voice cracked, desperation flooding my soul. She fumbled, trembling as she inserted the key into the lock. Finally, there was a click, a moment of hope hanging in the air like a fragile balloon. Open it. She twisted the knob. The door swung outward, revealing the dark expanse outside, the night inviting us into its embrace as if offering a pathway to freedom. Go. I pushed her forward, stepping out behind her just as the shadows clawed at our heels. We raced across the porch, hearts pounding in unison, a chaotic rhythm of fear and hope. But just as we cleared the threshold, the temperature plummeted. The very air thickened, suffocating, and I could feel something tugging at me again. I looked back, a surge of horror washing over me as the door began to slam shut, almost closing with a finality I couldn't bear. Cherry, I barked, panic ripping through me. Get to the trees. We ran, dashing toward the cover of the pines that loomed like sentinels in the shadows. The branches creaked ominously as we entered the dense underbrush, the darkness feeling heavier here, stifling yet somehow protective. What was it? Cherry panted, her voice breaking as we paused, back against a tree. Why did it want us? I swallowed hard. The question tore through my insides, leaving me hollow and raw. I don't know, but we're safe for now. But deep down, dread wrapped around my heart. I could still hear the echoes of its mocking whisper swirling in my head. I'll always be here. Suddenly, Cherry gasped, pointing toward the thicket. Look, in the pale moonlight, a shape moved, sliding between the trees, something that should not be there. It loomed larger than a shadow, its contours twisting unnaturally. Stay close to me, I hissed, gripping her tightly. What do we do? But even as I asked, I knew deep in my bones that the hunt wasn't over. The darkness had a plan, and it wasn't finished with us yet. What more did it want from us? Before I could answer, a figure stepped into the light, familiar and terrifying. A voice shattered the night, drenched in malevolence, echoing the deepest of my fears. Oh, you thought you could escape? I felt blood drain from my face. The real nightmare was just beginning. The figure emerged from the shadows, tall and sleek, with an unnerving grin stretching across its face. I recognized the eyes, glistening with a malevolent curiosity that sent a chill coursing down my spine. It was no longer just a ghost from my past. It was a specter of my own making. Uncle, Cherry whimpered, her grip tightening on my arm as the darkness seemed to pulse around us. The woods alive with an energy I couldn't understand. I could feel my chest tightening, breath hitching in my throat, as fear wrestled with my instinct to protect her. "What do you want?" I shouted, my voice echoing through the still air. The figure laughed, a sound that was high and almost musical, yet filled with a darkness that made my skin crawl. "Oh, but you should know, dear nephew. I want nothing but to play." "Play?" I spat back, confusion and dread swirling within me. "You think this is a game?" "Not a game," it purred, stepping closer, shadows pooling at its feet. "A reunion. I was so lonely. And you chose to forget." I wanted to deny it. How could I forget? Memories flooded back, not just of laughter and warmth, but also of a terror that once gripped my heart. One that I had believed was buried long ago. "Leave us alone. We're not afraid of you." I forced the words out, even as every muscle in my body betrayed me, trembling in the face of its presence. "Not afraid." The figure tilted its head, eyes narrowing. "You shouldn't be afraid of me. You should be afraid of what I bring." With a flick of its wrist, shadows slid away from the trees, revealing more shapes lurking just beyond the threshold of light. Spectral faces, twisted and anguished, emerged, their forms morphing with a fluidity that made me feel sick. "Your fears have come to life," it taunted, gesturing toward them. "You have summoned them, nephew. It's time to face your demons." I felt Cherry's small frame shake beside me, her voice a fragile whisper. "Uncle, what are they? Make them go away." The tremor in her words propelled me into hyper-alertness. I forced myself to take a deep breath, panic clawing at my throat. "Stay close, Cherry. I won't let them take you," I promised through gritted teeth, stepping in front of her like a shield. Yet, as the first of the shadowy figures lunged forward, a stark realization shot through me. These were not mere phantoms. They were reflections of the secrets I'd buried deep, the memories I'd hoped to escape. "Please, don't be foolish, Uncle." It was the figure again, its voice an insidious melody. "Stop fighting. They're here to help you remember." "Help me remember?" I shouted, adrenaline igniting my senses. "You think this will help? They're just illusions." Then I felt a sudden coldness wrap around my legs, pulling me backward. I stumbled, eyes widening in shock as I fought against the grasping shadows. "Cherry," I yelled, panic surging through me. She screamed, a sound so raw and intertwined with my own fear that it sliced through the darkness. "Don't let them take you." I turned to face her, a wave of determination coursing through me. "I won't. I promise. I'll get us out of this." But as I surged forward, shadows surged behind, competing for my focus, whispering secrets of pain I had buried long ago. The ground beneath me shook, and a crack erupted between the trees. Something terrible lurked within, hungry and expectant. What happens when you venture too deep into your own darkness? The familiar figure smiled wider, eyes glinting with malicious glee. "The answer is closer than you think." With that ominous promise, the ground trembled again, and the shadows began to swallow the light. I knew then that our only escape did not lie in running, but in confronting the nightmares I had neglected. We were fast approaching the moment where I had to make a choice. Turn away from the shadows or dive back into the abyss to face what was hidden there. But would I be strong enough to do it when the time came? As terror nipped at my heels, I felt the chilling specter of doubt close in, and I knew I had to act before it consumed us both. Would we be crushed by our own fears, or could we find a way to fight back? The answer loomed like a dark cloud over our heads, waiting to drop its rain of despair. What awaited us when we ventured too far into the unknown? The ground quaked again, reverberating through my bones. The shadows clawed closer, and with each tremor, I felt the weight of those memories pressing in on all sides, threatening to collapse my defenses. Cherry's grip on my arm surged with panic. Her wide eyes darted toward the multitude of figures inching closer, each one a grotesque mockery of a fear I had long tried to suppress. "Not a game," I muttered under my breath, the truth settling heavily in my chest. The malevolent figure seemed to flourish in my fear, almost dancing with delight as it watched my realization take root. Suddenly, I caught sight of something moving among the spectral faces. A figure broke away from the others, smaller, familiar. It looked like a child, drifting through the fog of shadow. My heart dropped. Couldn't he be Jessica? I whispered, almost terrified of the answer. But the face twisted in pain and sorrow, shaking its head violently. No longer a child, rather a distorted version of my younger sister, the one I had failed to protect all those years ago. "What do you want from me?" I shouted, the desperation evident in my voice as the shadows twisted around her. The figure, the one that had lurked in the darkness, chuckled softly. "It's not what I want, nephew. It's what you want. You wish to forget." "Stop," I yelled, raising my hands as if that could hold back the memories flooding in. The shape of Jessica blurred, just as fleeting memories of her laughter and my guilt resurfaced like boiling water threatening to spill over. When our family had broken, it was I who turned my back. The ache pooled in my chest, sharpening my breath to a gasp. Cherry squeezed my arm tighter. "Uncle, who is that? Why does she look sad?" "Stay back," I shouted, urgency spilling into my tone. "It's not what it seems." I could feel the chilling agony of regret wrap around my heart. I couldn't let Cherry see what I'd lost. I couldn't let this vision of the past take her too. The shadows advanced swiftly, hungry, the faces morphing into indescribable nightmares, my fears, my failures. I had tried to outrun them out of guilt and shame. "This isn't real," I screamed, forcing my eyes shut as I willed myself to wake up. But the figure lingered, its voice echoing. "This is reality. You need to face them." Cherry's frightened breaths reached me, and I turned to find her crouched low, her tiny frame small and vulnerable against the unsettling backdrop of shadows. "I'm scared," she whispered, the tremor in her voice breaking through my defensive walls. "Just hold on to me. Don't let go," I urged, stepping closer but feeling the ground slip beneath my feet, a chasm of despair gaping wide. "I can't leave you. I want tea," Cherry cried, reaching up with small desperate hands. "I can't lose you too." The intensity in her voice struck a chord deep within me, more potent than any spectral scream. Pain erupted in my chest, an overwhelming rush of love and fear tangled together. I knelt in front of her, the shadows hovering, waiting for me to crumble. "I love you, Cherry. I'll fight for you, Uncle." Her bright eyes shone with unshed tears, urging me to remember the strength that resided within me. At that moment, I understood. I couldn't let the dark win. Not again. I had to confront the ghosts, not just for myself, but for Cherry. If I failed, we would be lost together. I took a deep breath, my heartbeat matching the pulse of the shadows. "Let us do this," I shouted, the resolve swelling in my voice as I turned to face the figure that had haunted me for so long. Then, I felt it, a flicker of light struggling to break through the darkness, igniting a small glimmer of hope. Could I summon the shadows to reveal their truth? Or would this monumental choice plunge us deeper into despair? The answer lay within the confrontation that awaited us, lingering just beyond the edges of panic. And as every shadow coiled with anticipation, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was the moment that would define who we became. The curtain was rising, but would we emerge victorious or be swallowed whole? My heart raced at the thought, racing into the depths of the unknown. The shadows pulsed around us, thick and suffocating, while every specter pressed closer, eyes gleaming with a hunger that gnawed at my resolve. The figure of Jessica, distorted and anguished, floated at the heart of the chaos, and I had to fight against that despair. I couldn't let Cherry see my fear. "Remember Jess's laughter? The way she used to spin around in the yard?" I whispered, half trying to convince myself. Cherry's gaze intensified, brimming with determination as she focused on me. With newfound strength, I stepped forward, forcing the shadows back. "You don't control me. I won't let you." My voice thundered, echoing off the walls of nothingness. The mocking laughter intensified, a cruel symphony that drowned out the soothing memories. "Oh, dear nephew, you think memories are mere shadows?" The figure's grin widened, revealing jagged teeth. "They consume you, and in time they will take her too." I felt Cherry's warmth next to me, anchoring me in this surging tide of terror. "Stay close," I urged, every syllable wrapping itself around my fear. "Why won't you let us be?" I yelled at the figure, every word dripping with desperation. "Why can't I have peace?" It stepped closer, the air around us chilling as if winter had crept into my bones. "Peace? You seek peace while you hide behind your shame? Face what you dread." I turned to Cherry, whose innocent eyes reflected a fierce bravery. "We're in this together, remember?" My voice softened, as though I were lacing together the very threads of our shared strength. "You're my light." The shadows recoiled slightly, surprised at the bond we were forging. "Let the light in, Uncle," Cherry exclaimed, her small fists clenching, unyielding. Her resolve seeped into me, igniting a fire against the oppressive darkness. I realized this fear I had carried wasn't just mine. It fell on her too. I had to protect her from the truth that was gnawing at my insides. "You may think you have one, but you will not take her," I roared, channeling everything I felt into a pulse of defiance. With each word, I felt a warmth emanating from Cherry. Energized by her courage, I turned toward the shadows and summoned every ounce of light left inside me. "I will confront you with my past, but I will not bear this burden alone." Suddenly, the shadows hesitated, as if my declaration had shifted the weight of the world. "Very well," the figure hissed, its voice riddled with menace. "Show us, then. Relive your sins. We will not shy away from truth." The world around us whirled, memories sweeping in like a tidal wave. I was trapped in a montage of loss the day I let Jessica down, the guilt that held me hostage. I saw her smile fade, felt the warmth of her laughter turn cold, and I was pulled deeper. "No," I shouted, fighting against the image but finding myself ensnared. "It's not just my fault." Cherry's hand remained clenched in mine. "Uncle, you can't let them win." Her voice broke through the spiral of despair, a lifeline in the raging storm. With sheer determination, I fought against the tide. "Jessica," I screamed, desperation fueling my words. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. If you can hear me, I will honor you. I will live for you." Suddenly, a portal of crackling light opened above, illuminating the darkness. The shadows shrieked and recoiled, their form distorting in the brilliance of my vulnerability. I could feel their grip weakening. "Now," I urged Cherry as we moved toward the light. "We need to step into it together." As we advanced, a piercing scream erupted around us. "You will regret facing your memories." The figure writhed in rage, clawing at us with shadows that felt like brambles lashing against my skin. With determination, we charged forward. The light engulfed us, warmth washing over my fears. I was tired, so incredibly tired, but I wouldn't stop. The truth was within reach, that fragile hope sparking brighter than any darkness that dared to consume me. But just as I thought we could break free, the shadows started swirling back, pulling at my heels, wrapping themselves around Cherry's legs. My heart dropped. "No, get back." We pushed forward, but the darkness fought back brutally. Would this flash of light be enough to bring us to safety? Or were we destined to be reclaimed by the shadows once again? The struggle intensified around us, a tempest of emotions and memories swirling as I fought for both our lives. The light surged around us, its warmth a stark contrast to the icy grip of the shadows. I could feel Cherry's presence fading, her small form fraying under the pressure. "Cherry, hold on," I urged, my voice thick with fear. But the shadows pressed closer, their whispers clawing at our resolve. I glanced back, desperate, and saw Cherry grimacing against the suffocating dark, her small frame struggling against the weight of despair. "We have to keep going, Uncle. We can't give up." A guttural roar erupted from the figure, a sound that tore through the air and sent vibrations coursing through every fiber of my being. "You cannot escape your past. It's too late for you, too late for her." "No," I shouted back, and for the first time, I felt a flicker of hope igniting deep within me, fueled by Cherry's faith. I thought of Jessica, not just the memories of her laughter, but the lessons she taught me. She had always believed in the strength of family, in the bonds that can overcome even the heaviest of burdens. Jessica, I cried, a cry for help merging with my deepest regrets. Remember me. I remember you. I will carry your light. The shadows recoiled briefly, a shiver of uncertainty flowing through them. It was as if my plea had pried open a small crack in their sinister grasp. The moment was fleeting, but I seized it, pulling Cherry closer. We have to trust our love. Love is stronger than this darkness. With that, I pushed forward, forcing the memories away. And as we moved, a radiant light began pouring down around us like a waterfall, cascading over the darkness. I felt the shadows flicker and writhe, their forms twisting as though they were being pulled away from us. But the laughter returned, angrier, more fierce. You think you can outrun the truth? You will fall. You will perish in your own weakness. No, we won. Cherry's voice pierced through the cacophony, and though trembling, it rang clear. You can't take my uncle away. Yes, my family. Her small voice, that fierce declaration of love, sent ripples through the air. I tightened my grip around her hand and willed us to move faster, through the storm of pain and loss that swirled around us. We had to keep pushing. We lunged towards the vortex of light that became more pronounced with each step we took. Focused, I turned to Cherry, reassuring her with a smile despite the chaos surrounding us. We're nearly there, just a little more. But then, as if summoned by my thoughts of salvation, the ground beneath us buckled and split apart. A chasm appeared, dark and bottomless, reaching out like a hungry maw. The shadows howled, hunger radiating from their twisted forms. You'll never escape. You are mine. Cherry's terrified gasp shattered my heart. The shadows began to pull her back, their claws digging into her small body. Uncle, she cried, her wide eyes glistening with fear. I felt my heart wrench. No, Cherry. I lunged forward, arms outstretched, desperation fueling every muscle in my body. I couldn't let her be taken by the darkness. Not again. I won't let you go. Together we face this. With every ounce of strength I had left, I pulled her towards me, toward the light, pushing back against the insistence of the shadows that clung to her. Let us fight it together, I shouted. And in that moment, I felt something shift. A tangible force pushed against the shadows, a wave of resilience born from genuine love and pain. But just as we appeared near the edge of safety, a huge burst of darkness exploded from the depths below, nearly knocking us off our feet. I could hear the shrieks of the shadows gaining strength again, and in that split second, I saw a face I had never expected in the fray, a glimpse of Jessica, her eyes pleading. Uncle, you have to protect her. Jessica? I gasped, a mixture of hope and despair flooding me. But the howl of shadows pierced through, drowning out everything. Your past will eat you alive. You are not strong enough. And in that heartbeat of chaos I understood. I needed to confront it all, my failures, my guilt. But would I be brave enough to face the very memory I thought I could outrun? Let us go. I yelled to Cherry. We plunged toward the light. But did the truth await us there? Would the moment of clarity heal us, or damn us forever? The pull of the darkness surged again, and I felt the rift between salvation and doom shift. What awaited us in that brilliant light? We barreled forward, heartbeats synchronized with the frantic thrum of hope and fear. The light grew stronger, a beacon amidst the shadows that clawed at our resolve. I could almost hear Jessica's voice guiding us, a whisper of encouragement in the maelstrom. Uncle. Cherry's voice broke through my thoughts, sharp and urgent. What if we can't make it? What if we fail? Failure loomed in the corners of my mind, but I refused to give it power. We will make it, Cherry. Just trust me. My voice trembled under its own weight, but I tried to inject every ounce of certainty into it. As we reached the chasm's edge, the shadows coiled tighter, their sinister tendrils curling around Cherry's legs and waist. Her small body shook, and I could see the fear in her big, innocent eyes. I can't hold on. No, I shouted, panic blooming in my chest. She was slipping. The thought of losing her ignited a blaze of fury within me, hotter and brighter than the sun. In that moment, Every regret I held transformed into something powerful, propelling me forward as I reached for her with both arms, gripping her tightly as I stepped farther into the light. "Stop!" The figure in the darkness screeched, its voice tearing through the air. Shadows flexed and twisted, trying to take Cherry from my grasp. "You can't protect her. Only I hold the power of the past." Angered and emboldened, I squared my shoulders to face the looming blight. "You don't own her. We carry our past, but we refuse to be defined by it." The light pulsed more intensely, and I directed its energy towards the darkness. "Your time is over. We are not alone." In that very heartbeat, the light surged forth like a tidal wave, sweeping through the chasm and enveloping us. I felt the shadows scream and recoil, their hold on us weakening amid the brilliant onslaught. "Uncle, it's working," Cherry squealed, her fear morphing into exhilaration. "Yes, just keep holding on," I encouraged, eyes locked onto the shimmering light. But even as relief trickled into my veins, I sensed a shift. The deeper darkness writhed and roared, pushing back harder than before. The ground trembled beneath us, the chasm widening into something insatiable. "You can't escape what's meant to be. I will claim you both." "Cherry." I realized I could lose her in this eerie void, and that notion churned my stomach. Looking into her beautiful, trusting face, I felt a surge of protectiveness. "Fight back," I yelled, drawing from every memory of laughter and love. "Remember Jessica. Remember what she stood for." With renewed vigor, we clung onto each other, wrapping our arms tight and focusing on the light. I could see it above us, a portal shimmering, hinting at salvation. "Together." Cherry's voice rang clear, a high note cutting through the chaos. "Together," I echoed, feeling that thread of connection weave us together against the darkening tide. But just as we prepared to leap into the light, the shadows lashed out fiercely, lashing their tendrils against us like whips. "Going somewhere?" they hissed, lashes of darkness seething. "No time. No fear." I couldn't think, I could only act. "Grab my hand," I shouted, my heart smashing against my ribs. In one swift motion, I yanked Cherry from the edge of disaster. We launched forward into the blinding radiance, the cacophony of the dark fading behind us. As we crossed the threshold, there was a scream, a desperate howl that rattled through the air. I turned in time to see the shadows collapsing, wrestling against the light, clawing at Cherry's fading figure, an unspeakable promise laced in their fury. And suddenly, we landed with a thud, rolling into something soft and warm. "Where are we?" Cherry whispered, her small hand still tightly gripping mine. Everything felt different here, lighter, clearer, but there was a tension that remained, rippling beneath the surface. As I looked around, I realized the light expelling the darkness hadn't vanished. It shimmered subtly, casting an otherworldly glow on what lay ahead. One question pierced through the silence. If we had escaped the grasp of the shadows, what awaited us in this new world? A chill ran down my spine as I caught sight of a familiar figure in the distance, hair flowing like light. A soft smile etched across her face. Was that Jessica? Or was this just another illusion crafted by the darkness? "Uncle?" Cherry started, her voice trembling again. "Do you think we're safe?" I hesitated, my heart pounding with uncertainty. What did this light truly hold for us? Would this be our salvation or our undoing? The light wrapped around us, an embrace so warm it melted the icy grip of dread from my bones. Cherry and I stood, breaths mingling in the air filled with fresh possibility, but uncertainty still loomed. "Do you feel that?" I whispered, my heart racing. "It's different here, Cherry." With me holding her hand tight, we slowly ventured forward, drawn to the figure emerging through the ethereal glow. My heart leaped as recognition took hold. There she was, Jessica, serene and glowing as if the light itself was alive within her. The memories flooded back, a bittersweet tide of warmth mixed with sorrow. "Jessica!" I shouted, my voice reverberating through the air as I pushed through the shimmer that felt both foreign and inviting. Cherry clutched my arm, eyes filled with a mix of wonder and caution. "Uncle Jack?" Jessica's voice danced around us like the softest lullaby. You've come so far. I'm proud of you. Tears pricked my eyes. All the guilt and shame felt as if they began to evaporate in her presence. I thought I lost you. I thought I lost so much, I admitted, my voice trembling. From behind me, Cherry whispered, "Who is she?" "She's family," I replied, my heart swelling with the words. "And she reminds me of everything that matters." Jessica stepped closer, the warmth of her light cascading over us like a protective veil. "You fought bravely against the darkness, both for yourself and for Cherry. But know this: understanding your past doesn't mean carrying its weight. You honor it by letting go." Cherry's small hand squeezed mine tighter, her innocent face searching mine for reassurance. "Is that okay, Uncle?" I nodded, feeling the strength in her trust. "We can let go, Cherry. We don't have to carry that fear with us anymore. We're safe now, together." Jessica smiled, her presence brightening the space around us. "Trust in each other. Trust in the light you've found within yourselves. You've already faced what haunts you, and there's no shame in that. You're free." In that moment, the shadows of the past didn't seem so daunting. The specters shifted in the corners of my mind, but they held no power here. We were a new story, one written by love and resilience. "Can I talk to her?" Cherry's voice trembled, filled with innocent hope. Jessica nodded, bending down to meet Cherry at eye level. "Of course, little one. What do you want to ask me?" "Will I always have Uncle Jack?" Cherry said, her voice soft but fierce. "Will he always be there for me?" A radiant smile spread across Jessica's face. "He will, Cherry. Family is forever. And now you carry a part of me in your heart. You're stronger together." As I watched the exchange, I felt a weight lift. My sister's legacy would not end in darkness. It would echo in every act of love and courage Cherry and I would share from this day forward. "Thank you," I whispered, feeling the truth wash over me like a warm tide. "You don't have to thank me, Jack," Jessica replied, her voice unwavering. "Just live. Live for yourselves, for each other, and remember that love breaks all shadows." With that, the swirling light began to thin, but instead of dread, I felt a lightness in my heart. The figures of the past faded gently, allowing us to step forward into a new dawn. "Come on, Cherry," I said softly, holding her hand with renewed strength. "Let us go make memories. Let us live." Together, we walked forward, leaving behind the darkness that once threatened to consume us and opening ourselves to the birth of something beautiful, our future. As the light enveloped us, laughter danced in the air, bright and unreserved. And though fear had once followed us, I knew one thing for certain. We shared an unbreakable bond, and nothing could tear us apart. Now, hold on tight, because this is where your journey begins. If you loved our story, you need to subscribe now to keep up with the next exclusive chapters. Smash that like button to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion, and flood the comments section with your thoughts, reactions, and theories about what you just read. We want to hear from you. Your support makes all the difference. Let's keep this community alive and thriving.